Good morning.
Well, we're here
Yeah.
and we are using microphones. Check this out. This is going to make future upcoming videos much more pleasant to watch.
Mm-hmm.
We hope.
So I guess we're going to go through our third month budget.
Yeah.
And I guess to start off, we'll work on the fuel budget. What we ended up spending was $1,200 on fuel. And then we also bought a
Excuse me.
2.5 gallon container of DEF for the motorhome, which was $23. So our total for the trip then ended up, the entire trip going to Alaska and back was $2,696, and we budgeted $3,200 for the trip, so we ended up quite a bit under budget.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're what? $500 under budget.
yeah,
So the most expensive fuel we paid for was on the way home at between Jasper and Banff within the park using one of their stations.
yeah. It's interesting station. We pulled up. They fill you up. You can't not supposed to get out of the vehicle,
No.
and then you pay. Then you pull ahead and pay at a little booth. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was rather pricey. But
Yeah. But we didn't do too bad then. So our total miles we had put on was
9,500.
let's say 9,500.
Okay, 9,500.
Yeah, so that wasn't too bad.
No.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, and then this one?
And then camping, we spent $535 for the third month, and then so our total was $1,730, and we had 18 nights free camping.
Yeah, most of those were at like rec areas that did not charge. We only did what 2 nights were Walmarts. Yeah, that was it on the entire trip. So the rest of them were very beautiful places to stay for free. So you can find free camping. We didn't, do a lot of research into finding the free camping. It's just anytime we saw somebody's YouTube, like what we're doing now, of places that were free, we marked them on the map. So if we were in that area, we went and checked them out. We did check out a few of the free places that we really didn't care for and moved on, that we didn't stay. So camping was, let's see, here was what we budgeted.
Yeah, we budgeted $2,275.
Let's say 2,275. Okay. It's easier to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So we budgeted $2,275 and we only spent
$1,730. So we didn't spend approximately $400, about $500.
Yeah, about that. So again, we were about $500 under budget. So between the two, that's $1,000. And there's a reason we're saying that because you'll find out in a little bit what we spent that money on.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, groceries, which was kind of ambiguous because we had groceries with us when we started. We cleaned out our refrigerator and freezer. We brought a bunch of dry goods along. We put them in bins up overhead. So we utilized a lot the first month. So the first month was only in the $200 range. The second and third months were up in the $400 range. But when we came home, we still had groceries left to bring back into the house. So the grocery budget's kind of tough. We did budget $1,500, $500 a month, and we only spent $1,100 for that. So 1,156. So our groceries were kind of, if we were home or traveling, we would have spent about the same anyhow. So that really, it's in there, but it's not really an expense of the vacation.
The next thing was propane, but we really didn't, we kind of forgot about it in our original budget. But we ended up just spending $38 on our third month, and the total was for the whole trip was $285.
But we right now
So
have a full propane tank coming home.
yeah,
But we did have a full propane tank taking off. So it's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
horse apiece.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, laundry. We only spent $31 in the last 30 days, which wasn't too bad. I had considered laundry a much higher budget. We only spent $98 the entire trip on laundry, and I had budgeted $360. So I had budgeted $120 a month for it because I was thinking laundromat rates, going to a city laundromat. But what we found, which was really unusual in my mind, we found a lot of RV parks that we had stayed at least once a week. We tried to stay at an RV park, had laundry facilities, which the types of parks we're used to in Wisconsin are state parks, county parks, national forest parks. They don't have laundry facilities. But a lot of places we went to did, and their rates were really cheap. Sometimes it was, $1 to wash and 50 cents to dry, whatever.
Yeah.
So it was quite reasonable. So our laundry, we were way under budget. Okay.
And one of the things that another thing we really didn't budget for was dumping our holding tanks, um, which occasionally we had to do, and it cost us a couple dollars. The third month it cost us only $5, and the total that we spent was $47 for the whole trip.
But what was interesting is, again, up in Alaska, a lot of the stops, the gas stations, if you want to call it that, or sometimes they were called lodges. They were buildings that would cater to travelers. So there would be a dump station for free. There would be potable water to fill up for free. There would be propane available. There was always diesel and gas available. And sometimes they had lodging, kind of like little hotels attached. Sometimes they had campsites attached. Other ones you could just pull in and stay for free if you wanted to. Usually their little gas stations were convenience stores with the basics and the snack foods. You don't see a lot of that we're used to around Wisconsin or the Great Lakes, where gas stations cater to an RV by having dump stations and potable water.
And then also there was a few cities or towns or whatever you want to call them had free dump stations also.
Yeah, and free water fill-ups.
Yeah,
Yeah,
free water fill-ups. So
yeah. So really, we only spent $47, but we didn't budget for any of it, so it wasn't too bad. And actually, in the last 90 days, the $5 fee was right here in our hometown. We dumped as soon as we got back to our own town.
yeah.
So we pay our city sewer and water bill, but we also pay $5 to go to the dump station a mile away. So this is one that's a big budget item for most people, but not for us.
No. Restaurants.
Yeah.
And restaurants, we only spent $26.
And that was my fault.
And what did you buy?
That was at Godfather's Pizza on the way home. On the way up, we stopped at a gas station and found out they had a Godfather's Pizza. So we bought one. And then on the way home, we were getting towards North Dakota and
Minnesota, wasn't it?
Well, we were in North Dakota, and I Googled
okay.
and found another one in Minnesota. So we made sure to stop there to fuel up on the way home so I could get one that we split up, and we ate a little bit. Then the rest we put in the freezer and took it home with us in little Ziploc bags. So, but our total budget, including 2 Godfather's pizzas,
was $147. So
okay, now the rest of this restaurant budget, 147, was for what?
Cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, and that was you.
Well, you ate them too. So
well, you made a point of stopping for all these famous cinnamon rolls.
Yep.
And who had the best?
Oh boy, I can't even pronounce the
Tetsa River Lodge on the way up. That was the best.
Yep.
Yep.
Certainly was.
Okay, then we have gifts. Of course, we had to buy some gifts for the kids and the grandkids, and a couple gifts for ourselves, including cinnamon rolls. And I bought my beautiful jacket and my rabbit fur mucklucks. And yeah, so we did some nice gifts. Also, speaking of gifts, we are wearing our shirts that were a gift from our kids before we left. We thought it was only fitting to wear them on the way back. So anyhow, our gifts this last month came to $195. So altogether, our gifts were $460. But that included things like stickers in various areas to put on the back of our cargo trailer, and a lot of nice little memento things. We didn't do a lot of shopping, but I don't think 460 is too bad. So then there was this one.
Tolls and ferry rides. We didn't have any in the third month, but our total ended up being $260, and we actually budgeted $500.
Yeah.
So
So that was the ferry ride from Skagway to Haines,
yeah,
the toll in Whittier Tunnel, and then the shuttle fees we used to get out to the Kennecott mine.
mm-hmm.
So that's what was on there. And other people spend a lot more than we do. 260 over 3 months really isn't bad.
No.
Okay, then we had miscellaneous.
Now, miscellaneous, which is $27. So our total was 96 for the total trip.
Yeah,
So,
for miscellaneous. So that wasn't
yeah.
too bad. And that was odds and ends. And we'll get into that later because we have a couple repair things we're going to talk about a little bit. So our total, drum roll.
Yeah, was $7,028.
For our entire trip for 90 days.
Yeah, and monthly it was $2,342 a month, and we averaged $77.23 a day.
So that was priceless. For $77 a day. Now that's our transportation, our housing, our food, our entertainment. That's everything rolled into one. So we're only spending $77 a day to do this trip.
Yeah. And we ended up going 9,502 miles totally, and we ended up with a little over 14 miles a gallon on the trip.
Yeah, we totaled up every single fuel up where I calculated the mileage and averaged them out.
Yeah, so really, that's not really bad for all the fast, or I should say, slow down driving and uphill and a lot of gravel driving.
Yeah, a lot of gravel driving.
So, and we budgeted $9,000 for the, or 9,000 miles. I'm sorry, 9,000 miles for the total trip.
Yeah. So, well, our budget was around 9,000, and then we had of dollars, and we had a slush fund of an extra 3,000 if we needed it that we never touched.
Yeah.
And then we'll get onto that later too of what we saved on our budget. So I wrote down 10 highlights of our trip. And we kind of figured there were 5, our top 5, but there really were 10 that we wanted to just touch on. And so do you want to we'll go every other one?
Sure.
Okay.
Highlights was McCarthy Kennecott Mine. That was pretty interesting. It was very amazing how those people were able to do what they did back in those days, I'd say.
Yeah, and it was on our bucket list. That was one of the top things we wanted to see. The road was rugged to get out there, and it was expensive to camp there at base camp, but we really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It was one of those memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second one I have on the list was Denali, seeing Denali.
Yep. It took us 3 times, but
we saw it.
We finally got to see the huge mountain.
And we did not go into the national park itself. We did not want to deal with the crowds and the people or camping in the campgrounds, having to take shuttle buses for tours. And we instead camped outside of Denali. 2 nights we were at the viewpoint just south of Denali, and you can camp right in the parking lot. And then the third night we were up at Beyer Lake, which is a little rec site just north of the southern viewpoint, just north of Kasugi Ken, because we couldn't get in the state park. And then the way back from there was a beautiful evening, and Denali was out in all of its glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the White Pass was another very spectacular drive, I'd say.
Yeah, it was going down into Skagway, heading that way, and it was amazing.
The time of season that we hit it, we actually went early, um, so everything was snow. The only thing that didn't have snow was the road, which was a good thing because quite the drop in elevation.
It was weird. It was just a black-topped road through mountains of soft marshmallow-looking snow. All the snow had fallen. Now there are no trees, there are no rocks. All you see around you is snow, and it's all soft and smooth and muffled. It
Yeah,
sounded like it was muffled. And it was a cloudy day, so you almost couldn't even see the ends of the mountains where they ended and where the sky began. It was a very strange sensation driving through there because all you had was your little blacktop winding road and mounds of snow.
yeah. And even though it was cloudy out for the day, it was very bright.
Yes, it was very reflective. I mean, we were squinting
Yeah,
for quite a while before we realized we had put on sunglasses.
yeah.
I think that's what they call snow blindness.
That could be.
Yeah, so that one was amazing. So then this one I'll take Hyder and Stewart. They were, at the end of the trip, towards the end, and I fell in love with Hyder. It's a little ghost town that's dissolving away into nothing. All the buildings are eroding. They are allowing it to just slowly decline. There's only 16 people that live there, so there really is no tax base to fix it up. A lot of the buildings have just reverted back to the city for taxes. People abandon them, die, move away. But it was beautiful. There were great people there. We enjoyed the scenery. There was a peacefulness there and a calmness. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
And Stewart was a very nice town. It was not pretentious. It wasn't all touristy. It was a good, solid town
Mm-hmm.
that, we appreciated having their services available to use. We stayed in Hyder, but we shopped and got fuel and used the dump station in Stewart. And it was just gorgeous with the canal there. And we saw an orca. We'll get into animals later. Okay, and then the last top five.
The Lear River Hot Springs, which was a must do. Again, we were very fortunate by leaving earlier in the season that wasn't crowded. Um,
Yeah, we got into the campground.
so many people say they can't get into the campground and it's pretty crowded, but it depends on the time of season you go.
Yeah, we were there about the second to third week of May.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And it was so almost tropical feeling sitting in the hot springs. And it was something we had never experienced before. We've been in another hot spring down on the Rio Grande, but that was a little different. This was very unusual for us to do something like this.
Yeah.
So the other five that weren't quite the top five, but they were still in the top 10 was doing the Whittier Tunnel. Okay.
Whittier Tunnel was very interesting to go through. It's the longest tunnel in the United States. It's a one-way tunnel. You share with a train, and I don't know if it'll be north and south traffic or whatever. It'd be back and forth traffic. So you got to take turns.
Yeah, it alternates every half hour. The first part of the hour, traffic can go this way. The second part of the hour, traffic can go that way. And you pay $13 for a toll for our rig to go through it.
Yep. So, it's definitely interesting to see.
The town was ice cold. It was very freezing and cold and windy. And just through the tunnel on the other side of the mountain, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So we had driven through and explored the town, but then we went back through the tunnel and stayed at a very nice rec area instead. And we went out by the Portage Glacier, and we touristed the area but left and got out of there. And you can go back in the videos on the channel and see the ones that we're talking about. Okay, so the next one, the Skagway Haines Ferry.
Yep, that was a fun ferry to take. It was only about an hour ride, I guess.
Yeah, about that.
A little over an hour, maybe. Interesting little ride with the motorhome on I ferry. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Nick rode down in the motorhome, down in the bottom of the ferry. He
yeah,
was not allowed up on deck, but we got to explore the deck and see the scenery. And it saved us over 400 miles driving around by going on the short ferry from Skagway to Haines.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it was something we wanted to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
something interesting.
Yeah. So this was another thing we had on our bucket list just because everybody says you got to do it. So we did it.
We went down to the Homer Spit. That it's it's interesting to go see it. The little what would you call that? Little
Peninsula.
peninsula thing coming off of the into the ocean, and the tides going in and out, and very that's very interesting.
And that's where we saw jellyfish.
Yeah.
It was dying, but you can't pick them up and throw them back in the water. It doesn't help on Kachemak Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But we were surrounded with people. It was all tourists. Everything was geared towards the tourists and the fishermen. So we did it. We saw it, and then we left after one night.
Yeah.
That's all we needed.
Yeah.
But we did it. So it was on the bucket list.
And the signpost forest in
Watson
Lake was, it's almost overwhelming to go in there and look at all the see the signs. It's very difficult, I found, to look at absolutely everything that's there. There's so much of it.
Well, there was what, 20,000 signs or something?
I don't know.
Yeah. But we did leave our sign there. We had a sign made up,
Yeah.
and we did put it there. We fixed the one above us that was tilted. And what's interesting is nearby we saw a sign from the next town up in Pound, Wisconsin, and we took a picture of it. And we tried to look up the people to let them know that their sign is still there, because I think it was dated like 2004 or something when they were there. So it's over 20 years old. We thought, well, it'd be nice to let the people know their sign's still there. Sadly, we found their obituaries. They had passed away, but it was even noted in their obituary that going to Alaska was the highlight of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get a hold of their children. They have 5 children. We managed to find one of them on Facebook, sent them the pictures, and they were thrilled to see that their parents' sign, because they had always talked about their trip, that their parents' sign was still there. They shared the information amongst their family. So it was really kind of a nice thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So in the last of the top 10
is the canyon to Valdez. I don't remember the name of the canyon.
I just forgot it too. Oh, we'll put it in here. But yeah, that was an amazing drive going down to Valdez.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody talks about going through the pass and down through the canyon.
Yep.
And it was beautiful with the waterfalls, Bridal Veil Falls, Horsetail Falls.
Yep.
Yeah, it was very pretty. Although the one going into Stewart, Bear Canyon, was just as pretty and less congested, less traffic, and was very pretty also.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them, taking from the highland down through the canyons to get down to the ocean level,
mm-hmm.
was really an interesting display of the texture and the terrain and the natural beauty, because it's areas that can't be settled and lived in because they're so rugged. So they're left natural, and you're just driving through them, experiencing what's been there for eons.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous. Okay, so we made a top 5 campsites list. Most beautiful campsites.
I guess Maury Lake would be at the top of the.
Yeah, Morley Lake Rec Area. Yeah, that was gorgeous. That was either in Yukon or British Columbia. It was right in that area where we had to go up, down a couple times. So it was a Canadian rec area, and it was gorgeous. You'll have to go back and look at the video in our playlist here, but it was a rec area with only 4 sites. We had to wind our way down on muddy roads to get into it, and it was beautiful. And it was only four sites, and we were far enough apart you didn't even see the other people down there
Yeah.
until they came and knocked on the door to borrow our syrup. They were making pancakes, and the nearest grocery store was 100 miles away. So we gave them our syrup.
Yeah.
But it was free and it was beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm. Another one was Skilac Lake,
Mm-hmm.
another beautiful area.
Yeah, and that's where you found the campsite the next morning. We pulled in. It was again free campsites,
Yeah.
and we pulled into one that was good. It was a good site. It didn't have a lot of view of the lake, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little. But the next morning, he got up and saw somebody left the most beautiful, perfect site there. So he had me hoof it down there with the dog, saved the site so nobody else could come in.
Yeah.
Well, he went back and packed up the motorhome quick and drove it over. And we stayed there 3 days. It was so nice. I mean, we were sideways to the water, our own little private beach, mountains in the background. It was gorgeous.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, and then I liked Quartz Creek.
Mm-hmm.
That one again was a beautiful campsite. We were able to pull nose in, water as smooth as glass, big mountains. I can't tell you how many mountainside lakes we camped at.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
government park.
Yeah, and that one we had to pay, but it was half price with our federal access, right? Oh no,
No.
that one wasn't. No,
No.
because that was still in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Meziadin, I never did find out how to pronounce that one. That was right by the turnoff to go to Stewart and Hyder. And that one was pretty cool. We were the site that was right next to the boat landing. So there's nobody next to us and nobody at the boat landing. And we could back right up where the back of the motorhome was almost to the shore of the water. And we roasted marshmallows. We had a campfire, and the lake went smooth as glass with the most amazing reflections. And I put that picture for a while on Facebook, but I think I'm going to use it as my header for a while. It was just beautiful. And then the last one.
The last one's Toad River, which was a very nice gas station, restaurant, little community, and their camping was very nice.
Yeah, we were pulled in through the pine trees, nose to the water, to the beaver dam. We watched swans were nesting.
Again, that was early in the season, so there was very few people. I think what, one or two campers. That was it.
Yeah, and there weren't many campgrounds that were open yet. Almost every campground in that first 30 days of the government type campgrounds were not open. So we were searching to find places that were even open.
Yeah.
And this place, not only did they have a little gift shop and a grocery store, they had propane, they had laundry facilities. It was just a very nice place. And because there was nobody else around, we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we were in just at the end of their considered off season, so we got a discount on our.
Yeah, we got
camping.
cheaper. I think we got for, I don't know, $14 or something instead of 28. But
Right.
it was something like that.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay, so then we made a list of our 5 worst roads.
Yeah, and granted, they were interesting.
Mm-hmm. The one you didn't like was actually paved.
Yeah, the one I didn't care for is the Toke Cutoff Road, they call it, in Glen Allen.
To Glen Allen, yeah.
And the reason I found that more irritating is because of the frost heaves in the pavement. You couldn't tell the distance where they start and they end. At least I had a problem with that.
Well, not only did they go like this, but they also went side to side, these frost heaves. So you'd be driving along and it would be not just up and down, but you would list side to side. If there was no oncoming traffic, you could try to avoid them.
Yeah.
But when the sun was shining, it was worse because you couldn't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had an issue with that. A lot of people talk about Construction Bay, which would be our Destruction Bay, as being a rough road, and it is. But if you take your time and and there's, again, we were going through the earlier part of the year, so we didn't have very much traffic at all. So you were able
Yeah.
to drive on the left side of the road to miss a lot of the potholes and
Hmm.
some of the washboard stuff.
But in some of that area, we were doing about 20 miles an hour too.
Yeah.
But because construction hadn't started yet for doing the repairs,
Yeah.
we were able to get through. Whereas if you're going up in June, later June, even into July, there's so much road construction, is what we're hearing from people that they had issues with that we really didn't have to deal with.
Yeah, we didn't very little road construction until the later part of our trip.
Mm-hmm.
And then the road to McCarthy, yeah, that's a interesting road. I think they talk about that a little bit more. Um, People say it's a little worse than what I thought it was.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
It's actually on a railroad bed that's been torn apart. So every now and then, I guess a railroad spike will come up. But if you watch for it, every now and then there were railroad ties that you just made sure you didn't go flying over it.
Yeah.
But people talk about, oh, you got to bring 2 tires. And oh, there is a sign there that says tow trucks won't come down there. And if you rent a vehicle, you're not allowed to go on that road. Your rental company, you're voiding your rental agreement if you take it down there. We didn't have any problem, but we're used to rough roads from the UP of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. So really wasn't any big deal to us.
No. And again, maybe that makes a difference the later in the year. With more traffic going over it, the rougher the road might get.
Yeah, we had some washboard areas, but
earlier in the year, I think the roads might be a little bit better. They might grade them early in the year, and then it gets rougher at the end. I don't know.
That could be. But take note, there are no guardrails. There's no center line. A lot of it's single lane. So if you meet somebody oncoming, you both kind of slow way down and creep to the side and see if you can pass each other without hitting your side mirrors against each other. But it's rugged. It's not for the faint of heart, but it wasn't the worst.
No, the biggest, I shouldn't say the biggest. The only problem we had was someone that was doing an RV rental. Of course, they don't normally, I don't think, drive RVs, so they like to use a lot of the road, which made it a little more difficult to get around.
Yeah, they use the middle of the road.
Yeah, so they don't understand they got to make room for traffic to get through.
Yeah.
So
the other one that was amazing, but it was also rugged, was the combination of the Taylor Highway, which connects to the top of the World Highway, to get between Tok all the way up through Chicken and down into Dawson City.
Yeah, and we found that the Taylor Highway was I thought, a little worse than
on the United States side.
Once we got into Canada, the road seemed to be a little bit better taken care of.
And the views were spectacular. And you were literally on the top of the world. You were above the tree line. You're driving on the top crests of the mountain range rather than down in the valleys. That's what makes it so different. So when you're up there, you have 360-degree view in every direction. Yeah. And we'd even watched like a herd of caribou loping along. And it took a long time for them to even get out of eyesight because there's nothing blocking you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see a long ways.
So, and our longest stretch of construction.
Yeah, it was south of Whitehorse.
Yeah, that was our longest stretch. They're actually replacing the entire road. They weren't just fixing it. They were actually grading and doing new sections through the mountains, blasting their way through. So it was new road being created.
Redirecting the highway a little bit.
Yeah.
Which they've been doing constantly, I guess, throughout every year.
Yeah.
Making it actually ends up being shorter and straighter. So.
Yeah. So in animals, we did a lot of animals. What were our 5 top favorite animals?
I guess our number one interesting animal was a grizzly bear up the tree.
Way up the tree.
Yep, and the tree was only maybe 5 inches. It was a small tree, And he was up probably 20, 25 feet in the air.
Yeah, this was between Carcross and going down towards Skagway.
Skyway, yeah.
Yeah. And he was ripping the branches off the tree to eat just the little red buds on the end of each branch, which were the leaves that were getting ready to open up. This was early May. And those buds are covered with like a sticky sweet sap. And he was biting off all the buds, and he'd just rip off another branch and eat the red buds and throw the branch down, rip off. But he was way up in the tree, bobbing in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think you can climb a tree to avoid a bear,
I wouldn't do it.
no.
And then we saw a baby moose across the, what river was that?
It was at Willow Creek, where Willow Creek reaches the Susitna.
I think so.
Yeah, near Trapper Creek, Willow Creek, that area, south of Denali.
Yep, little baby moose on the other side of the river. So
he was adorable, and I was taking pictures, and suddenly he started calling for his mama, and it dawned on us: what if Mama was on our side of the river?
Yeah.
So we got out of there fast. We went right back to the camper. We did not want to meet an angry mama moose in the woods. No, but he was adorable. The next one I saw, Steve didn't get to see it until he saw the pictures. And the pictures are kind of late because all you see is a little bit. But I saw an orca whale at Hyder. And they come up the bay after the salmon up into the Portage Canal. And they come up and they gobble up the salmon that are heading up the river for the bears and for spawning, actually. And then that's where the bear sightings are at the Tongass bear viewing station, Fish Creek, I believe it's called, by Hyder. Well, we were sitting out at the harbor and we saw something on the crest of the water and go. So I saw this ripple in the water, and I don't know if it was a fin or not. And then I saw another little flick in the water. So I got the camera aimed out there. It's kind of hard when you have all this water and you're trying to aim on one spot. And I zoomed in just as his head came up over the crest. You saw the smooth shininess of his head and his nose, kind of, and the white alongside the face, the black. So yeah, it was an orca. But we did see one more, a humpback whale by Mud Bay, south of Haines, too. So we did see another whale, but I was happy to see the orca. Okay.
We also saw 2 baby bears and a mama black bear alongside the road, which we weren't able to really stop and photograph them. But they kind of took off and went up the side of the hill. And
they were cute.
Yeah, they were cute.
Yeah, Mama was pushing them with her nose. Get up there, up the hill.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a rocky embankment. Yeah.
And then we saw a bison itching himself on a road sign, a double post road sign. He was in between the 2 poles and itching both sides of himself on the posts, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was right near Leard Hot Springs. It was after the hot springs. But he was rocking back and forth, making the posts creak in the ground as he was itching himself. There was a whole herd of wood bison there alongside the road, little baby calves. And it was cute.
Yeah.
So those were our top 5 animals while we were traveling. But we also had animals when we got home. We have an on-demand water heater with a tankless, with an outside vent that comes out the side of the house. And it wouldn't fire up. We had it all turned off and disassembled during our trip. And it wouldn't fire up. And Steve went and looked in the vent.
And we found 2 tree frogs in there. They were looking out. So I tried different things to get them out of there, and they weren't working. They'd go on deeper down into the vent. So Karen came up with the idea using a shop vac to suck them out of there. So we put the shop vac on them, and they sucked right through the hose into the tank, and it didn't injure them. So they were still alive when I pulled them out of there, and we let them free.
So we had to have it cleaned out from frog poop or whatever was down in there. They had taken up residence in our vent. See, normally when we're home, it goes through a cycle mode every 20 minutes. So there's enough fumes and heat coming out of that thing that frogs would never go in there if we were home while it's running. I mean, we've never had a problem with it.
No.
But we did put a piece of hardware cloth over the end now to make sure it's not enough to block the flow, but to make sure no more frogs get in our vent.
Yeah.
And our other surprise was we had a mama bunny that had babies in the back corner of the tomato patch.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of guard them and kind of keep Nick from going over there and to kind of protect them until they were ready to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you noticed what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were ready to leave.
Yeah. They were ready to leave.
Yeah. They were lined up, ready to go. 4 baby bunnies. Mm-hmm. So we took care of them. So those were our animals when we got home. So we did write down, there were 4 things that were our events that we thought were kind of memorable. And the first one was
picking up the youpers on the side of the road that had RV problems, issues.
Yeah, youpers are residents of the UP of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula. Youpers. Yeah. It's a nickname. We proudly call ourselves Youpers if you're from the UP.
Yeah, and they had motorhome issues, and the tow truck wouldn't take. They had 4 adults, and the tow truck driver would only take 1 person in his cab. When they would show up to pick up the RV, so 3 of them needed a ride somewhere.
All the way to Whitehorse. They needed, it was over 90 miles,
yeah, it was
a ride.
90-mile ride.
There's no Ubers, there's no taxis, there's no car rental places when you're out in the Yukon.
No.
So we loaded them up into our motorhome and gave them a ride, and they had nowhere to go because the tow truck hadn't come yet for the motorhome. Mm-hmm. So they said, drop us off at a brewery. That figures. And we stayed and had a beverage with them.
Yeah.
And they thanked us over and over again for doing that. But hey, we hope if something like that happened to us, somebody would stop to help. Nobody else stopped to help them except 1 other car from Wisconsin, 2 little old ladies.
But again, there's very few people on the road, so.
Well, they said a lot of vehicles just drove right by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we stopped. Steve actually ran out with the fire extinguisher because there was smoke billowing out of their rig.
Yeah.
So it felt good to help them. So that was kind of a neat thing. Mm-hmm. So one of the other events that we thought were interesting were
the ferry ride.
Well, both of them.
Yeah, we had 2 ferry rides, one in Dawson City.
Yep.
And the other one from Skagway to Haines.
Yeah. But the Dawson City one was just short over the Yukon River, but the current's so fast, it carries the ferry downstream when you leave the shore on one side, and then he's got to force it back upstream to get to the other side.
Yeah, most of the time they're going sideways. So
yeah, that was interesting. One of the events that we enjoyed was at Dawson City. It was horribly hot for 2 days. We stayed right in the city campground and didn't do much.
No.
But the day we were ready to leave was early on a Sunday morning, and there were no tourists around. There was nobody around, and we walked the downtown area. All the beautiful historic buildings, and we really enjoyed looking without tons of people. And that few things were touristy, but most of it, they've restored the original buildings, and they didn't overdo it. It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
And it was peaceful, and it was finally a cool enough morning to get out and walk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was miserable. I mean, it was a heat wave had hit, and it was not nice.
No.
And of course, the last event that was very important to Steve.
Well, the cinnamon rolls at Tessa River Lodge was pretty interesting. We got to talk to the owner and the baker, and we had a lot of things to discuss about people,
life, tourists, marketing, wholesaling, selling fuel. People get there, and she's the only place around for 100 miles in each direction, and people complain about the price of fuel, and she only offers it as kind of a courtesy because she needs the fuel herself to run her generators.
Yeah.
And people complain. And well, if you're going to complain over the price of fuel, it costs her. She's a single person. She's not a huge chain of, gas stations.
Yeah.
And it costs her more to get it there, but people don't understand that. All they do is complain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it was very interesting talking with her, and we gladly paid the price of fuel because it was there and we needed it. So, and that was one of the irritating things you had about the trip. We had two irritating things. That was yours.
Oh, uh, it's just a way of life up there. It's because of the distance between little bergs or places to get fuel. You have to keep an eye on your fuel as you're driving so that you don't run out of fuel between stops. So that's a little bit of a it's irritating because you're not used to it. Here in the lower 48, you just drive, and then the tank says that you need fuel. You can pull in almost anywhere and get fuel. Up on the way up through Canada into Alaska, you have to kind of figure your distance to where you're going and see if there's actually fuel stations that are going to be available. And we didn't come into this problem, but they said at times some of the fuel stations will be shut down or else out of fuel. So you have to kind of pay attention to the fuel.
Or their internet goes out very often, and you cannot use the card reader at the pump.
Yeah.
So you always make sure you have at least 1 or 2 fuel ups worth of cash on hand.
Yeah.
So in Canada, we had to have Canadian currency, of course. And in the US, we had to have US currency when we were in Alaska. You make sure you have enough to pay for a fuel up or two or a campground or two, because the internet does go out for their card readers.
Yeah.
And, most people don't think about that. They just rely on their card to pay for everything.
Yeah.
So those were our two irritations. So now we're going to get down to repairs. When you drive 9,000 miles, little things go wrong. So we had a couple little things go wrong.
And not only that, we have a 9-year-old, 10-year-old motorhome.
Yeah, the chassis is from 2015. So you figure after 10 years, some of this stuff does wear out, and we put on 9,000 pretty rugged miles.
And we use our motorhome quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the doorstep motor decided it didn't want to work very often, so we needed to replace that.
What was the old pound it with a hammer? It works again for a few times. We lubed up the joints, make sure we weren't straining it. We used dry silicone lube for that. But it was where we knew we needed to replace it. But when you're traveling, you can't just order it.
No.
So we ordered it so when we got home, we would have it. It's only $34 to get one.
Yeah.
But that was something that was wearing out, breaking out.
Another one was our water pump. I forget how many, a week back or something, the water pump for our potable water decided to shake loose, and the screws that hold the diaphragm pump to the motor stripped out of its case.
Yeah, so the little shaft couldn't turn the little impeller.
Yeah, and it got worn before I was able to figure out that it wasn't, that it came apart. So Karen came up with the idea of using wire ties, which was a good idea because there was no threads left, and you'd have to find bolts long enough to bolt the thing back together. So
yeah, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no hardware store to go buy 2-inch bolts.
So we had some wire ties along, and we wire tied through the 4 bolt holes, and it held together.
Yeah, it worked enough to get us home, and then we ordered a new one, and a new one isn't that expensive either. That's $74. So these numbers I'm mentioning, this is totaling up to the money we saved on our budget.
Yeah, I guess so.
So the next one were the pull levers on the recliner chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you watch back on our videos, Steve first was able to get the chairs to function by clipping on vice grips.
Yeah.
Then we stopped at Fraser Lake. There was a hardware store. We were able to get some metal rings and cable crimps. They're called ferrules.
I think so.
Yeah, and we were able to at least get a pull ring on it, but it was, you have to totally take the chairs apart, flip them upside down to change the cables correctly when we get home. So we at least made it work in the meantime. It didn't cost much. It was $26, but at least the chairs could work.
Yeah, you got to take out the cable to see what length you need to have and the type of ends that you need to have for the chair. So, but it was an easy fix. Just you got to remove the chair to do it. That's all.
Yeah. So another repair we had is back around Denali, that area, our propane valve was going goofy. And it's an electronic propane valve. It's not as simple as just turn the valve and your propane's on.
Yeah, it's a solenoid.
So you messed with it and cleaned it and whatever and got it working, but it wasn't working quite right. And the new one is $200. So we ordered it.
Well, it's a device that you're not going to get anywhere
on the road.
Unless you order it and then you get it. And the problem is you got to wait for it then. So that's a part that probably should have, for this motorhome anyways, to have on hand.
Yeah, so that was $200 to order it. There's only one place you found to order it from, really. Yeah, it was hard to find.
Yeah.
So one of the other little things that went to heck was
our entry door strut blew oil all over the place.
Yeah, a little piston strut, like what you have on your hatchback doors on vehicles. Yeah. There's one on our door to keep it from flinging all the way open.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was $9. But again, it was one of those things you have to order to get the exact right size and the exact pounds of pressure. You can't just walk in a store and buy one.
No.
So, and twice we had rock chips.
Yeah, and both of them happened on asphalt highways. No, it wasn't gravel. So a lot of people talk about the gravel roads and how they get splattered with rocks, which it does happen, but if you take precautions and pull off as far as you can and slow down, we didn't seem to. And again, the early part of the year, there wasn't quite as much traffic, I think, as later on in the year.
But both of our chips were taken care of in full by our American Family Insurance. They partner with SafeLight and they come right to you, or you can stop at one of their shops, which we did in Wasilla. Mm-hmm. And they take care of the chip free of charge. We gave the guy a tip each time we had chips repaired. But it's covered by our insurance. And if the entire windshield were to be cracked and needed replacing, it's only a $500 deductible and everything else is paid for.
Yeah.
So, and the other one is maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance. You have to do maintenance after a trip like we went on. And we did an oil change, which was $250. That's filters, fuel filters, and the oil.
And that's us doing it ourselves. Yes. That's not bringing it. If you bring it somewhere, it's like $800 or $500 or whatever.
It's definitely more than that.
Yeah, this is a Mercedes chassis. Yeah. It's pricey. You have to bring it somewhere where they know what they're doing, because you can't just do it anywhere.
And then the air filter and the cab filter, they were pretty dusted up from the gravel roads.
So they were only like $29 and $13.
And then, of course, wiper blades. We went through 2 sets of wiper blades on this trip. And so we needed to get some more on hand in case they go bad.
And they're unusual wiper blades. It's not like you can just go buy the Arco one and snap it in. These are little pieces that have to slide in through a frame that stays there permanently. So you buy it, it's rolled up pieces of rubber, actually.
Yeah, it's just the rubber refills, which we decided to go with because, one, they're easy and lightweight to take along, but then you don't have to look for wiper blades on the road somewhere.
Yeah, trying to find the right length or right this, right that, right connector. Okay, so then the big one.
Yeah, then we decided on that the tires were looking a little bit worn, and it's a safety thing just to have good tires on. And they had probably at least 25,000 miles
that we've put on them.
That we put on, and the tires were 5 years old.
Yep. So excuse me. Usually they age out at 6 years old.
So,
but we saved so much money on our trip, right?
Yeah.
we decided to go ahead and order a better tire, and there'll be a video on that to come. But we had the tires replaced just right now, actually yesterday. So $1,700, but
Yeah.
by the time we were done, it was only 1,470.
Yeah.
We got a little discount. Okay, now some of the things that we've found after living in the motorhome for 90 days that we wanted to change.
Mm-hmm.
And one is,
Replacing our mattress. The RV mattress that comes with this motorhome was getting a little thin.
well, it's a 5-inch cushion, and we added like a 3-inch memory foam to the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But 90 days of it's a special mattress. It's hinged in two pieces because the back slide pulls in. It's got fold over like a taco. So it's a specialty mattress. And one of the guys on our Winnebago group on Facebook said he just replaced his from this company. And this is, we're not sponsored or anything. We paid full price for this. Wilderness RV will custom make an RV mattress to whatever you need. If you need rounded corners, 1, 2, square, whatever. Well, we needed the hinge across. We needed the head portion to be an inch thicker than the foot portion because of the uneven deck of the slide. We were able to order it exactly, and then it flips forward when the slide pulls in. We have a whole video on it. We'll show you later. And it was only $788 for a 10-inch memory foam,
Yeah.
which we sleep on memory foam in the house. We really like it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other things that was totally frivolous, but we're calling it our anniversary present because while we were gone, it was our anniversary.
Yeah.
And the kettles I had in here, pots and pans, they were fine, but they were what, about 15 years old?
I don't know.
Well, we got them in 2012, so 14 years old, whatever.
Yeah.
They were perfectly fine, but I had seen some RVing ones with detachable handles that they sell with little felted pads that go in between so they don't rattle. It's the Karoti, I don't know if I'm spelling it right, brand. And there'll be a video on that coming up. But we splurged on that. They were normally $300. We got them on sale for $139. So that was a gift, but it was also an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this was our next splurge, our mics. After being so frustrated with my original mic, it wasn't working. It would not talk nice to the GoPros. Too many times I'd open up footage and there'd be no audio. Then I was using a corded mic. I think there's a broken wire in there. So sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But I didn't want to get mics on the road. I tried in Anchorage. They didn't have what I needed that was compatible with my GoPros. So I ordered them so they were here at home, and we've been testing them out, and I think they work.
We'll see how they work.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we'll see how they work. And then one of the last upgrades we're making, we ordered that's not in yet because we just got home, is the seat covers on our cockpit seats. They have this fake vinyl, and everybody with our year or the year newer of these Mercedes Benz, they all notice right now they're starting to flake and peel and chip.
Yeah. They don't look so good.
No, they're not. 90 days of hard use.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be an upcoming video. So anyhow, we're doing repairs, upgrades, maintenance. And so everything here totaled up, besides our trip itself, comes to
$3,800.
But remember, we were under budget by over 1,000, and we had our slush fund that we didn't even dip into. So we're kind of saying now's the time to do these upgrades and improvements and repairs before we take our next trip.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to stay tuned and see what we're going to do next for our next trip. In the meantime, while we're home, I'm going to keep doing videos of each of these repairs and upgrades. I've been filming stuff as quick as I could over the last few days. I'm going to put them together and make some more videos. And we're already getting itchy feet and thinking, where are we going to go camping next? And one of the possibly upgrade that you're thinking of,
and we're still debating the pluses and minuses of this, is the life pole 4. Is it
life pose? Well, life pole battery, lithium is the Li.
Yeah.
And Fe is iron. If you
Phosphate.
well, ferrous.
Ferrous. Oh.
And then Po is phosphate. So
okay.
LifePo is lithium iron phosphate batteries. But you'll hear people call them LifePo batteries or lithium batteries. They're not just lithium, they're the LifePos, which are the next grade up in technology. And although we use, which is a LifePo battery in our Blue Eddy, which works and functions just perfectly for all the things we did on our trip, we are thinking about replacing the 2 lead acid batteries under the step that run the camper portion. Because you can only run them off the top 30%. Once they hit about 70%, they lose their effectiveness and they need to be charged again. With a life pole, you can drain it all the way down to like 0 or 5%. So there's more usability with them.
Well, and the power, the voltage drops with the lead acid batteries, where the life pole, the voltage stays the same until it gets down super low. So you're straining your electric motors. If the battery, your lead acid batteries are lower, you're straining anything on that order.
Control boards, everything.
So it doesn't have full power.
Yeah.
So it's a thought.
Yeah, so we're talking about that. We're researching a little bit. We do a lot of winter type traveling. So we're looking at the heated ones that have their own heat source because they don't function good in cold weather.
Yeah, they don't charge well.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's something for an upgrade for the future. So again, stay tuned and see what we do. It's rather technical to change everything over or to go a different route with our DC to DC charger. So we're working on that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, now that we're home, we quickly reunited with our children and grandchildren and took them all out to dinners and gave them all their souvenirs and touched base. And it was really good to see everybody again.
Yeah.
And, being gone for 90 days was nice, but being home is nice too. Catching up with, yard work and gardening and things around the house. And it is different going to the bathroom. You're not searching with your foot to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
And not having to worry about your water levels or your power consumption. And so it's good to be home.
Yeah.
But like I said, we are thinking about going somewhere else. And we'll see where we end up. But in the meantime, it's RVing. What have you, Steve and Karen? What a trip it was.
Yep, sure was.